Voila.
It is SoFab Kim, Coach Block. You can't see him on the camera.
Yo, you can hear me.
You can hear him.
You can hear me.
TDS Radio. We have a special guest in the building. As you guys all know, we are kicking off our W.I.N series, Women Impacting Now, and we have our first guest in the building, Miss Erika MacLennan. Said that right?
Yep.
From Let's Rock It Home. We're going to be talking to her in just about, a couple minutes?
In about a minute and 19 seconds.
We're going to get all into that. And, of course, we always have our entertainment news, viral news, sports news, Coach Block. You said Ja Morant.
Ja Morant. So we'll be talking about what Stephen A. Smith had to say in reference to Ja Morant and his recent behavior.
We're going to get into that and so much more. We also have LOI, the show. They're going to be in the building. Deep Voice Brothers, as we affectionately call them. They'll be coming up later on in the hour. But like I said, we're going to kick this off with W.I.N. I'm super excited.
Me too. I'm very excited.
All right. TDS Radio. We'll be right back.
So we are kicking off our W.I.N series. Super excited for this. You guys have seen it on our social media. And if you haven't, it is called Women Impacting Now.
Yes.
It's an awesome thing that we're doing for the month of March.
Yep.
For International Women's History Month. So what we want to do is we want to just shine a light on some of the female entrepreneurs or female-led ownership in these leadership positions, and just really let people know that they're out here doing phenomenal things, how they're impacting our community and making things better. And let's be honest, women are awesome. You know?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah.
So we have Miss Erika MacLennan in the building with Let's Rock It Home. And the one thing that I love about your company is super unique, but essentially you're creating this connection between remote workers and companies to help with retention.
Absolutely. So, everyone is pretty raw remote work right now. And a lot of people are debating whether or not remote work should be a thing, whether or not it's productive. But I feel like there's a lot less conversation around how are remote workers actually doing. And through our interviews, we found that the majority of remote workers, 65 to 70%, feel disconnected and isolated.
Wow.
So in response, companies don't really know what to implement as a solution, and they're trying to bring people back into the office. And I'm really here to be that sweet spot of, hey, there were a lot of benefits to going to remote, and remote work is more productive. Let's just solve the problem within this space and figure out how we can start collaborating and being engaged.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And you brought up some good points, and I want to get to those a little bit later on in the segment. But the first thing that I want to talk about is how did you even get started, and where did Let's Rock It Home even come from?
Yeah. So kind of a winding path here, right? So I come from the tech industry. I was an engineer at Fortune 100 company and worked with a startup. But I was one of those people who came on into the industry during the lockdown and during remote work. So I've known nothing but that, really. However, I had brought a lot of leadership experience from past industries and past roles. So when I saw everything shut down and kind of the chaos that ensued and the disconnection and the lack of collaboration, I kind of put my leadership hat on from the roles I was in, and I was on the ground training. I was on the ground doing onboarding, helping with celebrations, making people feel connected in a time that was honestly really scary for people.
Absolutely.
And, kind of decided that I wanted to start my own company to challenge myself, right? I kind of reached a point, I felt stifled where I was. And I'm really passionate about remote work, right? So I just started conducting these interviews, like, how can I better service this community? How can I continue to uplift this movement?
Absolutely.
And that's basically what I found unanimously amongst everyone I interviewed was man, I'm glad I work remotely now, but I am lonely as hell. Like, there's just something missing, and I don't know how to get it back.
Absolutely. Don't mind that.
So I was trying to be quiet. That didn't work
at all.
So, very different than what I thought I would be doing as a business, especially as a tech professional. But I'm very much of the mindset of I go towards the biggest problem and I try to find the best solution. I'm not out there just making a fancy app just to say I made an app or whatever, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And kudos to you for that, because there was that huge issue of I'm no longer in the office. I no longer have my team. You know, we're no longer even having team meetings. Everyone's kind of in this uncomfortable, displaced, gray area of not really knowing what's next. Yep. And then a lot of companies decided that they didn't want the overhead because it was easier to be remote. Oh, yeah. So how does your company help with that? You know, because some of the people coming out of COVID were just like, I need that personal interaction.
Yep. So I'm trying to help companies move from survival mode to having an actual strategy, right? So we've all been working remotely, but that doesn't mean that it's been working well for you or that your employees are doing well. So my approach differs depending on who I'm working with and kind of the stage they're at. I am working with a lot of startups right now. So for them, it's, hey, this is what remote work ground rules are. This is how you should be communicating without overwhelming people. This is what you should be doing to collaborate across time zones.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes. So, you know, we can't be engaged and a happy, I don't like the term family, but happy family unless we have the ground rules that we'll agree on, right?
Absolutely.
And then from there, it's a matter of, you know, some of these things were things that they need to work on, even in a traditional setting, right? Like, how do you make people feel included? How do you have effective one-on-ones? But in a remote setting, it's absolutely crucial. There are no ping pong tables. There is no water cooler chat. There is no distraction to how things are being run and how they are being valued. And so we really focus on that.
Awesome.
We do that through leadership training. That's just the main thing I'm pushing right now. But I'm also trying to figure out what are the most bite-sized products and training modules I can give to these companies with no time and perhaps not even a people ops person on staff.
Absolutely.
To create that experience without overwhelming them.
Absolutely.
So you guys do have a question from a viewer.
Oh.
Brittany Cherie asks, how did you find the right work-life balance during this time?
When I was a remote worker?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, that's a great question. Well, I think that it started out by not having work-life balance. I think that probably like a lot of people, we started out being kind of bored and not having other things to do and not having a strict off time. And so a lot of times I would just work whenever, you know, get up first thing, got nothing to do, gotta answer emails. At this point in time, I'm really trying to do a leadership down perspective in terms of work-life balance, because I think a lot of that pressure to not have work-life balance comes down to expectation.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that might be, oh, my boss has high expectations, so they're a workaholic. But it could also be my boss works in a different time zone and they expect things at times that I don't actually work.
Absolutely. Or I'm not even up.
Right. So, you know, I think that until leadership is on board with that, you know, working with someone like me, working with someone else on creating that culture, right? Remote workers are kind of up to defend themselves, right?
Absolutely.
Not defend themselves, but they need to have boundaries, right?
Absolutely.
So it's a matter of understanding what a normal work day looks like for you and communicating that with your boss.
Absolutely.
There is a huge disconnect in, you know, even if you're communicating that, whether or not your boss thinks you're working, unfortunately. Studies show that there's a huge gap in perception. Employees saying, I work more than usual. And boss is saying, I don't think people are working.
Right.
Exactly.
To that point, and for those who can't see me, Coach Block is still in the building. But to that point, I do have a friend that works remote, and he did not get his raise because the computer did not register him as actually active on his computer, but he was. So he got docked for not doing work that he was actually doing.
Wow.
And so when being irate is an understatement in reference to how he felt as far as, you know, the metric that he was judged by was a computer that was not even measuring the fact that he was doing the work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You hear similar stories like that all the time. And, the issue is you do need some sort of metric because you can't see people. There's,
Absolutely.
The old school generation talks about, I think it's called the walkabout method. And that's, you lead by walking around and just seeing what people are doing when they're working. You do need metrics now, but it's a matter of, do we have the metrics in place and are they actually effective, right?
Exactly.
And those metrics also need to take into account the employee experience.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Whether or not you value it or not, that comes back later in loss retention.
Yes.
And that's the one thing that I wanted to ask you about is, micromanaging, because a lot of people enjoy remote because they don't have someone over their shoulder. I was watching, like you said, walking around, seeing what they're doing. Those arguments are not happening because the person's like, well, you're watching me. What are you doing while you're watching me? So when you're going in as a consultant, how do you essentially alleviate some of those conversations or kind of like ease in those waters when people are kind of like, I don't know if my employee is actually doing the work.
Yep.
And the employee is saying, I'm getting it done.
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one. And I do think that people do feel a little bit of pressure that they're being watched, even remotely, with that active status, right? That whole TikTok thing people do where they wiggle the touchpad. The leadership stuff I cover, right, does talk a lot about the differences between managing remotely. But a lot of it, I think, too, is soft skills, right? Understanding that people work differently from you and being able to have a level of acceptance for that. And I know that sounds like a quick fix, but I don't think that comes easy to a lot of people. I think people typically understand certain work styles or certain backgrounds, and it does take work to understand and communicate with someone who does things differently than you.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, I'm doing some of those soft skills trainings, but I know a lot of companies using other services as well. That's a huge aspect of it. I think a lot of people go into management because they're good at, some sort of technical skill.
Absolutely.
But they weren't evaluated on those soft skills.
Absolutely. We will talk about that when we come back. There's so much more I want to talk about, behavioral patterns and things like that. But we are going to take a quick break. So make sure you guys are listening to TDS Radio. Just either Google it, TDS Radio on your Google system, Live 365, download the app, type in TDS Radio, and we'll be back with more of Erika from Last Rocket Home, because this is a hot topic.
and we do also have two more questions. So Brittany, stay with us. Brittany Cherie has two more questions for you. But we'll get to those after the break. So just hold on with us, get a couple jams in for those who are listening, and we'll be right back with you with TDS Radio.
Our voice of culture.
Mics are off for the radio station. And Brittany, thank you for tuning in. You guys can't see me.
What is that noise?
I'm sorry. That's the
your
alarm clock. That was the alarm clock. I'm sorry. I did too. I
wasn't gonna judge. Yeah.
I thought it was the next song. I'm sorry.
Not gonna judge.
Oops. I'm like, all right. But
what in the lullaby?
So at least you know I was on it over here, right? But we'll come.
Pretty good timeline.
Thank you.
We will come in with. Did you have a question? Did you want to go to Brittany's question?
Let's go to Brittany's question. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go to Brittany's question coming back in. So Brittany, just hang tight with us as we have our music break. And for those who are listening, and Brittany said, "Kim, you look fabulous. Y'all look fabulous." Actually, said she.
I love you so much.
Her other comment was she loves your set.
Shout out to Coach Block.
She said, "Just tuning in. This setup is everything. Loving the conversation." But then I'm saving her questions for you guys. Okay. So those are the comments that she made just about the progress of the work. Thank you, Brittany.
Yeah, and she does marketing and branding. So if you ever need help with that, she's a good connector.
Yes. So
I'm sure I will.
Brittany, because this is a platform where you can share, and this is Women Winning, why don't you post your link into the comment section so people can see your business as well, so we can support.
I know, I'm so proud of her. That's my little media baby.
Aww.
I'm so proud of her.
And
you're doing great things.
For those who are still tuning in with us, just give us a second, because remember, we are not a podcast. I mean, we're not a podcast. We are a radio station, but we're doing them both. So we're balancing the two. Yes, absolutely. She said, "I love y'all, always letting me promote." Yes, please post your website in the link, or a link and your website into the comment section, and we will take care of that. And we got your two questions coming up, and then hold on one second. We have one more song to go before we come back in, and it is starting in 10 seconds. I'm so sorry. I forgot. It's my fault. I forgot the chord so that we could listen to the radio station while.
Oh, it's okay.
Apologize. So everything is literally running through the computers.
Listen to the music. There's always some song I'm using up there and listening to.
How much time do we have on that song?
3:30.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. So then we have her, Brittany's questions, and then I definitely want to ask about behavioral patterns.
Sanji said, "Hey y'all, love the setup. Hello everybody.
Hello Sanji.
Hello Sanji Jones.
Sanji is just a beautiful soul.
Sanji
beautiful
as well. Please put your link inside of the comment section.
They are handcrafted by her. She takes her time, and while she's tying you, she speaks words of affirmation into you. But it's for weight tracking and for self-confidence as well as posture. And then she also lets people know it's lingerie that you don't take off.
For those who are tuning in, we are on a break, so just bear with us for 2 minutes or so, and we're coming back. But if you are a young lady, a woman, whatever, because we have some young ones that we're going to have coming in later on to talk about their businesses. I don't want to mess up anybody's surprise. We do have some young lady entrepreneurs. But anybody who is in our Women's Month, who is a woman who's an entrepreneur, or if you are doing anything where you want to post and just celebrate, post it in the comment section. This is a safe space to do all of that and just do you. What is the thing from the In Living Color, that episode where it was like, go on, girl. Like, we just having a go on, girl moment. That's why I'm not on screen today. This is not about me. This is about the ladies. We are celebrating women for this entire month. This is y'all thing. So please make sure, Sanji, please make sure you post your website in the comment section as well. And
Sanji, we got to talk because somebody that I know needs some waist beads. So.
Oh, yes. So waist beads are needed. So yes, that'll be us. We have 1 minute and 30 seconds left, and then we will come back in with the questions we'll come in hot with the questions from Brittany Cherie. There are 2. Let me get those up. 1 second. All right.
I feel okay. Yeah. I mean, you guys make it comfortable, so yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And good questions, Nothing, no like grilling or something.
No.
Yeah.
Where were you born? What time? What did your mother say when you were born?
Don't know where my social security card is right now, so don't ask.
No. We don't want to do that.
All right. So we have 45 seconds here. So we will be back within 45 seconds. And for those who are viewing, please scan our comment sections because we do have some lovely women and young ladies, beautiful young ladies who have posted their businesses as well. So please make sure you support everything that you see, from comments and love and all that stuff. This is what we're doing all month. So let's do it. We got 20 seconds as well.
Oh, yay. Good.
All right.
Professional. Like I'm a boss or something. Like
You are.
4 seconds. And we are live. This is your man, Coach Block, and we're back again with the second piece of the interview with Erika from Last Rocket Home. And we got SoFab Kim here, and we are going to go hot. If you haven't been following us, just go ahead and give an update of what we're doing right now.
Absolutely. So if you guys aren't familiar with what we're doing, it is W.I.N. That is our series, Women Impacting Now, and we are talking to women from all walks of life in various aspects of the workforce community, entrepreneurs, startups, tech, cosmetics, all of that we're going to cover the entire month of March for International Women's Month. And we're kicking it off right now with our good sis, Erika from Last Rocket Home, who is just getting into the conversation about remote work and making that connection to make sure that the employees are feeling connected to the company, the culture, and trying to build that retention. Because let's face it, there's been a lot of turnover since COVID has come.
Yes.
And if not, there's been a huge light shine on it, you know, to where some of these people are just like, I can't do this anymore. And whether it's protecting their mental, that work-life balance that we talked about before we went to the break, you know, people in their standards are now starting to get higher when it comes to where they want to dedicate their time. So before we jump into boundaries, because that's the one thing I wanted to touch back on, we had 2 questions from our viewers.
Yes. So Brittany Cherie has a question, and it's actually one question, 2 parts. And the question is, how do you measure your remote workers' experience or the work culture?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think that, first of all, it's going to vary a little depending on industry, right? So full transparency, most of my work has been in tech industry, SaaS-based companies right now. I think to date, a lot of companies are just using those engagement pulses, you know, using NPS scores, and essentially the data I've gathered to date is that people don't trust them, that they don't really feel anonymous, especially because the links are typically specially crafted for that person, or maybe they're the only person in their department, right? So that's not a good way to get feedback. So typically what I'm doing from a consulting perspective is doing more qualitative interviews, and also doing something similar to an engagement pulse, but aggregating those results myself as an unbiased third party.
Gotcha.
And presenting that as aggregated data to leadership, and not just giving that and saying, oh, here's your problem, you know, people hate X, Y, and Z, but also offering solutions. So instead of hunting down the individuals that said something, or, you know, fretting about, is this actually a problem, or are people just, you know, complaining? I'm just here to make it very, I guess, clinical and impersonal, right? So that we're back onto problem solving and not doing any witch hunts, if that makes sense.
Yes, that makes perfect sense. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because so many people are very afraid to possibly even do these polls or any of this, you know, these interviews in regards to like how things are in the workplace, because they're feeling retaliation, or, you know, they'll be fired, or, you know, their bosses will essentially make their lives a living hell, or nothing will happen. I've heard that so many times. People are like, what's the point? Nothing's going to happen.
There's a huge lack of trust right now, right? And even just when it comes to remote work, there's a huge concern about tracking software, right? So tracking when people are active, tracking whether or not people have installed mouse jigglers, right? So I think that when people feel like they're literally being watched, or being singled out for feedback, right? That's not going to create a culture of safety.
Absolutely.
So we got to focus on bringing some of that back, right? And it's a big issue, right? It's not something you're just going to give people a survey and it's going to get solved. It's a culture issue.
Absolutely. And what was our second question?
It was a 2-part. So that was also the second part was that about the work culture.
Okay, awesome. So now my question, I want to discuss boundaries, because when it comes to remote workers, a lot of people in leadership roles or management or whatever have you seem to lack boundaries.
Absolutely.
When we have these channels like Microsoft Teams, Slack, or whatever have you, you're constantly getting notifications. Like I'm telling him about it, where I'm like, how am I getting a notification and it's Sunday at, 8 o'clock? This is my time. So how do you deliver that messaging to these leaders who might feel as though like, well, it's a communication channel, we're supposed to communicate?
Absolutely. Well, there's new etiquette, right, for remote work. So the fact that people can contact you in instant on any day at any time, right? That's a big problem, right? And even if you tell people, oh, don't worry about answering this until you're free, it doesn't work, right? There's the pressure. You come in Monday morning and, your founder boss did all his work on a Sunday because he's the founder, and you have a million messages, right? Like that's not a good way to start the week, and you already feel behind. So there's a lot of strategies I give people in terms of scheduling correspondence, or maybe putting something on someone's calendar to talk in person about the items instead of just giving them a whole blob of text, right? There's also a big focus on not just messaging or pinging everything in real time, right? Like there's way too much of that.
Absolutely.
It's extremely overwhelming. I would even argue moving that to email is still too overwhelming. So I am really focusing as well on having people create these knowledge repositories and these forums where you know, if you're just sharing information or people need to stay up to date on events, right? Like that just needs to be somewhere that people can check. Like we're all adults.
Absolutely.
People do not have time to read these super long emails and, you know, people have better things to do with their time. So instead of transferring knowledge by word of mouth, whether that's training, whether that's, hey, we got an event coming up, we need a central place to keep that information.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a time of when, you know, you should look at
it. Yes, exactly. So, and I think that telling people, hey, there's this information that's been updated. Can you please check it by this date? That's way less overwhelming than ping, 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 ping.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Pings drive you nuts.
Yeah. And anxiety. There's so much anxiety behind it where it's like, oh my God, I have to because the fear of being fired or getting in trouble.
Absolutely. You know? And it doesn't have anything to do with someone's work ethic, right? I mean, we were not made to hunch over and, you know, type out on our little phones. People have to pee. You know, people need to take walks and eat. I mean, even in the office, people were not working for 8 hours straight.
Right.
You know, with few exceptions, few intensive exceptions. So you need to give people that freedom to create that work-life balance.
Absolutely. So one of the other things that I wanted to ask you about, when you're coming in as a consultant, number one, people already kind of feel hesitant because it's like, here's a consultant. You're telling me what to do with my business, you know, or you'll come in and say, everything's great. And then give me a check.
Right.
How do you combat with that, with getting the trust of these founders, of these CEOs?
Absolutely. That's a huge thing that you're touching on. It's a great question. First of all, I always approach every conversation with, it's a leadership training typically that I offer, but it's not a personal issue, right? We're really talking about a global change, right? We all just went through a pandemic. Nobody had time to prepare. And I would argue that nobody is doing remote work perfectly, right? And so we're really having a conversation of, are you interested in better engaging your remote workers? Okay, let's take a look at what you're doing and maybe what I've seen that works that you might be interested in trying, right? And to be honest, not every founder wants to do all of my recommendations, right? Everybody has their own leadership style. Everyone has their own beliefs. So I try to approach things very non-judgmentally and conversationally, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm there to help you with what you think you need and what you're ready for at that time. But it's still an issue, you know? People don't want to feel like they've been doing something wrong.
And then my other question is, when it comes to the employees, where you have some who are like, oh my gosh, I just miss working with everyone. They're extroverts, you know, they're that high I when you think about this personalities. Then you have the other people who are just like, look, I'm in my own office. I have my music playing. I have my plants and my dog. I'm good. I don't want to really deal with anyone unless I have to. Where or how do you work out that middle ground between those two extreme personalities?
For sure. So I'm going to pretend like you have a remote team that can't meet in person, right? Because that is the reality for a lot of these companies. You know, extroverted people, I think, are always going to go a little bit out of their way to engage people, set up one-on-ones, do fun things. But I think there needs to be an expectation of consistent meetups. A lot of companies are big on, oh, we need an annual retreat in person, or, oh, let's do a paint party this month, right? And those are great and they're fun and they're needed. But what's really lacking is that consistent, like every week, I hesitate to say every day, that can be excessive depending on the company, but at least every week, like we get together and it doesn't matter what we have going on. We make space to get together as a company, right? And there's a lot of factors that go into that, right? But at the end of the day, you're talking about the psychology of forming a connection. You think back to all of your strongest connections in life, right? They were when you were at school or at work, but it's not because you were in the stifling office. It was just you had to interact with somebody every day, no matter how you were feeling or what you were doing. So it's creating that consistency, right? And introverted people, right? Like they can make time for that consistency because relationship building is important to their career too.
Absolutely.
So we're about to go into our next break. Perfect. You're on it.
You are.
Literally, we are at 13. You're at 13 seconds. So this was the bomb. I didn't even have to give you the sign this time. So we are going to take a quick break and we're going to get back to Women Who Win. So for those who are watching via StreamYard and on our social media platforms, go ahead on and click the link for TDS Radio and jam out with us for a little while. We got about 2 songs that we're going to be playing. And then for those who are listening on the radio, here comes your music. And we will be back We'll be back with Erika for our final segment. All right, TDS Radio, our voice, our culture.
Well, this is great so far. I hope that I'm answering these in a helpful manner.
Yes, you're knocking them out the box.
This is awesome. And I mean, once again, it's one of those things where it's a need, but I don't think anyone has paid attention to how much it's needed.
Oh yeah, and I have so much data. I have so much stuff ready to offer, but being a new startup, a lot of that is what is the right language to communicate that to people. So this is honestly great too. Great practice for me. Yeah.
And I want to connect you with my boss, because I'm 100% remote too.
Okay.
But he is kind of along the same lines, but in dentistry. That's what we do it for. But I feel like there possibly is some sort of connection there to where you might be able to help him with some of the practices that he deals with.
That'd be awesome.
So I think that would be a good.
Totally down.
And our cousin Bria just said, I am so proud of you guys and all the accomplishments. My beautiful cousins love you guys dearly. Keep striving and keep working. You guys are awesome. And this is a beautiful thing that everyone's doing.
Thank you, babe.
Love the positivity. So much positivity, yeah.
I hope your cup is full.
Yeah, no, this has been fantastic.
Yay. Thank you so much. I am loving it. But yes, I want to connect you too, because he is really big on leadership. Like, that's what we do. We offer seminars for practices because their culture is just in the garbage, horrible. So we essentially kind of take it to, you may have done dentistry school, but it didn't show you how to run a practice.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Or how to talk to people. So let us show you how to talk to people, because you have the skills, but it really sucks.
Right. No, I could definitely help with that. That's awesome.
So that's what we do, and I would love to connect you to.
Well, and like I mentioned too, I mean, it's not even really that this wasn't an issue to begin with, right? Lots of companies had issues with soft skills and boundaries, and it's just, we're in a new age now. People have different expectations. We're burning out.
100%. Yeah, 100%. To where it's just like, I see so many people are like, I'm going to use my holidays.
Oh yeah,
I'm using my vacation.
There's a new mindset. Yep. Absolutely.
That's awesome. This is really awesome.
Well, I love what you guys are doing for the community too. Like, I'm very pro entrepreneurship and small business, right? So I already checked out the whole Instagram before I came here, and I was like, I love this. I didn't have a lot of time, but I checked out a few reels. So.
And you know where we are, so you ever just want to drop past?
I was just about to say, you do a great job. Come on in anytime.
Thank you. Well, I have the membership that ends at 5 p.m., so.
But as a guest for us, you can come in at any time.
True. Yeah. You guys are any guests, totally welcome to, or willing to come back. Yeah. Need all of the help connections I can get.
Yes, 100%. And that's one thing that we really pride ourselves on. Is there any way that we can connect people? We will try our hardest to do. That's what.
Do you want to do a quick, for those who are on social media, just a quick run through of what we have, who we have tomorrow, or were you going to do that at the end?
I can do that at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, I can do it at the end.
And then anybody that you wanted to plug business-wise?
Oh my gosh. Yes. So Brittany Cherie, once again, if you guys need help with, if you need a publicist, branding, marketing, she is definitely the person to talk to get with. She's phenomenal. She's awesome. That is my media baby. I love her so much. So I'm a little bit biased when it comes to that, but she really knows what she's doing and how to make sure that you get your message across. So as a marketing director, I endorse her. The other person, Sanji, if you are in need or want of just something a little bit different, you kind of need that boost when it comes to your self-esteem. She offers waist beads, and when I tell you that they're probably one of the sexiest things that you can put on your body that you don't have to take off. That's actually one of her quotes that she gives to a lot of these ladies out here. It's lingerie that you don't take off. It helps with posture, helps with weight tracking, it helps with confidence, and she specializes each one of those bead strands for you and speaks words of affirmation into you and ties you. Awesome.
No really two beads are the same.
No two beads are the same. And she even offers waist bead making classes and kits. So cool. If you ever want to get into it, you want to learn how to do it, she will teach that as well. Therapeutic bath salts. Miss Bernadette.
I'm posting the website and the link for therapeutic bath salts because the other two, if you're listening, the other two businesses, the websites are in the comment section. So I'm posting therapeutic bath salt as we speak.
Miss Bernadette, awesome. Everything is 100% handmade. It's environmentally safe, skin safe, and she packages and does everything with care. She makes everything from candles to scrubs, soap, body wash, and her candles are 2-in-1. So not only do they smell good and work well with your home environment as far as complementing your entire apartment, house, whatever, but they're also a moisturizer. So you blow the candle out, pour it on your skin, and
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yes. So she offers 2-in-1 candles. If you're interested in that, just amazing woman. She's right here in Raleigh. They're all local. So whenever you are in need of any sort of candles, instead of going to Bath and Body Works and spending $22 with someone where you don't even know where your money's going, help out a small business, a woman-owned business, and check out Therapeutic Bath Soaps. And like I said, she has so much more soaps. So she taught me how to make my own
higher
soap.
quality products too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. She's just amazing. And she offers candle making classes if you guys are interested in that.
2:30 on the radio.
Okay. Okay.
No, I didn't want to interrupt. I just wanted to make sure you engaged the stream.
I definitely forgot about that. so sorry.
So we will be back in 2 minutes. So if you're still with us, stay with us. But we will be back in 2 minutes. So this is the "we'll be back" sign. So just be cool. All right.
Totally open.
Okay. At home. If you are just tuning in, we are in the middle and actually wrapping up our first episode of our W.I.N series, Women Impacting Now. And I can't thank you enough, Erika, for joining us. I appreciate you reaching out to us.
What's up,
I would love for you to come back and just hang out with us.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I mean, you guys are cool, and I need the connections, So this is awesome what you're doing.
Absolutely. Any way we can help, we are here for you. But we just had a couple more questions before you peace out. We don't want to keep you all night unless you want to hang with us,
I don't have a social life at all, so just kidding. Minor social life. Yeah.
So when it comes to these companies that you're working with, these CEOs, these owners, managers, whatever have you, what does it mean for them to invest in their team and just really say, Erika, we need you?
Absolutely.
Because we're not getting it.
Sure. So I think retention is the easiest way to look at it. I think stats right now put the cost of rehiring a new hire that you didn't retain at 100 to 300% of their salary.
Oh, wow.
Which is insane,
right?
that is the easiest way that we look at it, right? I think in terms of like innovation and engagement, I think that's something that's measured a lot less frequently, but that is the focus a lot of these SaaS-based companies, right? Yeah. They want to be on the bleeding edge. They want to create the next leading feature, right? The thing nobody's thought of. People who don't feel engaged with you are not going to help create that. Right. So whatever the business value of these new ideas and these new markets you'd like to get into that you've established, you need your people to do it, right?
Absolutely.
And in terms of the investment, right, I do project-based pricing, and I also do long-term consulting. But talking about investing in a one-day workshop, right, that has dividends for months and years to come, right? The things that I'm teaching you to do are mostly free. You know, it is free to retain your people and to create a positive culture. But again, I think retention is where a lot of people come at me. I think also in terms of like the major brands, right? It's become a salary war, right? Because there is no loyalty. There is no reason to stay with a specific company. And if you don't want to be in the salary war and you don't want the offers you have to give applicants to be jacked up, you need to give people reasons to stay and people reasons to be with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think a lot of people tend to, when they're looking at that job description, they're always immediately going for work-life balance, you know, culture, you know, what are you doing outside of, like you said, the salary? Because the money can be made elsewhere. But also, what about my sanity?
Oh, yeah. It starts from the job description and the recruiter experience, and it goes to day one and onward, right? And it's hard. Like, it's a big job, and I think it's hard to do all of it perfectly.
Absolutely.
And especially with startups, right? That's why the consulting's helpful. It's a full-time job. You don't got time for that.
Hello. Hello, good evening. So you are a badass woman. You are an entrepreneur. You took that step that so many are afraid of because, you know, you got to take that leap. And sometimes there is no easing into it. You just got to go for it. How difficult was that for you?
It was very difficult. I think that people who are close to me would describe me as risk-taking and fearless, but that's definitely not how it feels when you start something, right? There's a big difference between I'm going to start this business and actually feeling like you're doing a good job or that you know what you're doing, right? And so I officially became an LLC back in April of last year, coming up on my 1 year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But I mean, I think I spent a solid 8 months kind of dealing with imposter syndrome, right? Like I was getting legally incorporated and I was getting my website up and I was coming up with ideas, but I didn't have it in my heart, right? People would ask me about this business and like, oh, well, you know, I don't really have a pitch yet, but it's kind of this. But I will say I gained that confidence just from doing it. It took a long time. It was uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
It was extremely anxiety inducing. I definitely cried multiple times a week. But I can safely say now that like I feel like I belong here. You know,
and you do.
I experienced that a lot less. So I think it is going to be scary. There's no way around it. You are never going to be prepared enough.
Absolutely.
Can I ask just your advice? Because one thing that people don't know, and I'm a person who's leaping myself. This is my company on my chest for those who can see. And then TDS Radio, we're leaping. My sister and I are leaping together. But can you talk about the importance of those who are in your circle for the support? Because a lot of people miss that piece because they think because you leaped, you're the strong one. Like, I can't believe you did it. You're so strong. And meanwhile, inside, you're like, I'm dying. So
Absolutely.
Can you talk about just what you need as an entrepreneur in the realm of support?
Right. So, I mean, I'm definitely not ignorant to the fact that my business isn't for everyone. I know that connecting remote workers isn't going to excite everybody in my circle, but when you're starting out, your circle is all you really have. And having those connections and even just people being excited for you is crucial. And I think sometimes people feel pressure like, oh, are they going to ask me to buy something or whatever? You know, definitely don't do things you're not comfortable with, but it costs nothing to share a social media post or to just, when you meet up with that person, be excited for what they're doing. Ask questions, right? I can say the moral support was pretty big for me in my first 6 months.
Sweet.
And I think that people, because they haven't experienced that, they have a hard time relating and being supportive. But yeah, I mean, I think if you admire the badasses in your life who are taking these risks or you think you might want to follow in their path, do what you can to support them.
Right.
Be that emotional support.
Yeah. Like you said, a like, a share, a follow, that does not cost you a thing, and it's not going to hurt you.
Yep. Easiest way to spread the word and create a bigger target audience. Right?
Correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think we as entrepreneurs, startups, and whatever, have to do a better job with supporting each other.
Yes.
So what I offer, or what we would love to offer to you, is that when you have something that you want to share, we would be more than happy to share it on our network, just to build that. Yeah. Because you might have somebody who say, I need a new listener. I'm not a new listener, but I need to listen to something different. I just want different content. And we may have somebody, like I said, someone that I want to introduce you to, who's like, I need Erika in my life. How do I get in contact with her? But how else would we be able to do that if we don't share information?
And I love that mentality of like, there's enough pie for everyone.
Absolutely.
And collaborating, right? Like even within the space I'm in, I've met so many people, at American Underground where I'm working, that we could do each other's competition, but instead we choose it as a chance to collaborate.
Shout out to American Underground, because that's where we're at right now. Anybody, we didn't even mention the fact that we are here. So shout out to American Underground. Thanks,
Tim. So before you head out, one of the things that I want to ask is, what advice or what piece of advice would you give to anyone, who is just starting out, and then let people know how they can follow you, how they can reach out?
My advice, besides just doing it, taking action, would be to lean on people, reach out. And I mean people in your circle, but I also mean cold messaging and showing up to networking events with people that you don't know. Because I will say that even though at this point in time I'm a solopreneur, I lean on a whole bunch of people, and I could not do it without them. Everything from accounting to, I'm doing a lot of people ops work, and I was an engineer, right? I'm constantly talking to other people, either getting support or getting feedback. So don't do it alone.
Absolutely.
Nothing happens alone.
Absolutely. And I have to take that clip.
Thank you. Tweet it.
Right. So how can people find you?
Yes. So again, relatively new, but active on all the socials right now. So pretty excited about that. So if you just, want to support, but you don't have a need, I'm on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook at Last Rocket Home. If you need my services, I have a website, lastrockethome.io. I'm open to all the communication channels, right? So there's a contact form there. You can reach out through social media. My email is Erika, ERIKA, at lastrockethome.io. And even if you don't know what you want help with exactly, that's what my free consultation is for.
Love that. Thank you so much, Erika.
Thank you for having
amazing.
Me.
Thank you. I
appreciate it. Winning, Erika.
Hey, see what you did there. Pew, pew, pew. And tomorrow we will be having Chayla Boya. She is from Uncorked right here in Raleigh. She is one of the highest ranked sommeliers in North Carolina, possibly in the southern states. We're still going to look and research that. She's very, very humble about it. She doesn't want to let anyone know her level of mastery.
Sounds accurate.
She's the shit. So if you are a wine drinker or an introductory wine drinker, you kind of want to dip your toe in there, I would recommend going to Uncorked, because she is one person who doesn't make you feel, like, I shouldn't be here because I don't drink wine. She welcomes everyone. She even has like this little party trick where she asks you what type of drinks you like or what flavor you're looking for, and she'll go to the back. She'll get you some wine and pop it right in front of you and say, try that. And usually 10 times out of 10, she's accurate.
Yeah, she got me, and I'm not a big wine drinker, but she hit it right on the head.
Hopefully she'll teach me the terms,
Teach me
what I like.
She will teach you everything of how to drink it, how to, move your glass, see the rings in it, of type of vintage wine. Yeah, she's fancy.
She's the
fancy.
Bomb.
Yes.
She's the bomb.
And one thing that we love about her is, like I said, she's humble, she's super sweet, and she's so welcoming. Her place is dope. So if you guys are looking for a new wine bar, new spot to kind of chill, just relax, Uncorked, that's where we'll be tomorrow. So make sure you guys tune in. And we are going to take a quick break before we get back to our entertainment news.
So, perfect time. I'm right here. So let me take this down. Hey, what's up, everybody? So hopefully you enjoyed our first interview because it was really fun for our Women Impacting Now series, which is W.I.N. I'm glad you guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We will be shutting down this live, but we will come back with another live because we do have our guest from LOI, the podcast. The guys who we call the Deep Voice Brothers will be back. So we are going to take a quick break on live. So enjoy the music. Go to TDS Radio and listen to the music. And we'll be back with you guys in a hot second. So thank you for everybody who tuned in. We really appreciate it. And tomorrow is another day of this. But we'll be back with another live. We just can't have the guys underneath the Women Impacting Now because they're not women impacting now. See you in a second. Peace.